my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Man Cave. And I'll warn you ahead of time, this is probably going to be a short one because all I have is one little short video today. But before we get into that, I thought I'd mention once again that, let's see, next week on the 15th, I'll be playing at the elementary school in St. James. That's the Lucy Wortham James Elementary School. And I'll be playing a little bit of bluegrass and showing them that stuff, showing them the mandolin that I built, you know, and showing them some Native American artifacts that I find here on the farm. And this year I might include a little bit of Civil War stuff too that I found here on the farm. So anyway, it's just a day where they just have you know, the kids just have a fun day where they get to see different exhibitors, different people set up different things for them to look at, you know. Some of them are making cotton candy. Some of them are making, you know, old time like wool and stuff, you know, turning it into yarn and things like that. They just spinning, you know. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff like that that I'll be part of that. Then on the 16th, 17th, and 18th, we'll be down in Mountain View, Arkansas. And it's just friends going together, you know, just meeting up down there and jamming, playing some music. There's no festival or anything like that. It's just a fun time, and it's a neat town, and a lot of people play in the town, you know, so there's jams. Years ago, it was everywhere. I mean, there were jams everywhere, but now there's jams in the general area of the courthouse. They have these gazebos just catty-cornered from the courthouse, and people get under the gazebos and play music, and, you know, people sit around and listen to them. So we do that some too, but for the most part, we just kind of make our own little jam someplace. This year, it'll probably be at the Naughty Squirrel. They have an overhang, just kind of like it's almost like a pavilion. It's an overhang of a building that sticks way out, and we just play under that, and it's a real good place to play. So the title of today's video is "A Little Bit of Cleanup Was Required" here, so take a look at this. Well, we're back here at the well house and just showing you the dirt they've dug out where they were finding bottles. There was dozens of bottles in all of this dirt through here. Over on this side, there's still just tons of glass. This cable was in the ground too, by the way, but there's just tons of broken glass everywhere. Here's a bunch of fence staples. There's a whole bunch of them there. Tacks, all kinds of things. In fact, there's a bunch of fence staples. I don't know why they would be here, but then there's just bottle pieces everywhere. When you're scratching through with this, you can just hear the glass. It's just, there's probably more bottles in this somewhere. So, and there's more fence staples. That's amazing how many fence staples too. This just happened to be a place they decided to dump a bunch of stuff. I don't get why. Doesn't seem like a logical place to dump a bunch of junk to me, but that's what they did. And I just have a feeling there'll be more bottles in here if we just could dig all this out. I might pop one out. It would be neat to pop one out on camera, but I don't know. They've been through here quite a bit, so maybe there's nothing left. I don't know. Lots of broken glass, I know that. Yeah. I don't know. There's probably one in here somewhere. There's just tons of broken glass. I don't know if you can see it all, but it's just everywhere. Just tons of it. Rocks. And just tons and tons of broken, you know, like bottlenecks here and things. Just bottles. There's got to be more good bottles in here. I just don't know where they are. Anyway, we're gonna I'm going to get a rake or something and try to rake out the glass and put all that in a bag or something. And I'm going to get rid of these ties around the building. I have no idea why they put those there to begin with. They don't seem like they serve any purpose. Can't imagine why they did that. I can usually figure something out of why they did what they did, but to me, all that does is attract critters and varmints, you know, up against there. I don't know, it just seems goofy to me. But we're gonna get rid of all of that. I'm gonna build new rock stairs up to the door. They've all collapsed over time and everything. Just trying to fix it up a little bit better. Here's some kind of critter right there. Do you see that? That's a walking stick of some form, and there's a different one up there, a different kind up there. That's a weird looking walking stick there. And that's the more typical kind that I see around here. I don't know. There wasn't any bottles on this end. That's kind of weird. They originally, when I bought the place, had the pipe coming out here going down, but it would freeze. So I drilled all the way down through the concrete, and the really odd thing is that the concrete floor was about 18 inches thick. Wouldn't you know, that would be my luck. It took me forever to drill through it, but I got drilled through it. I dug way down below this, brought the pipe underground, and the pipe goes underground back to the house. So that way it doesn't freeze. It was just a nightmare before. In fact, maybe they had it coming out here at one time too. I can't remember. I don't remember. But anyway, it was on top. It was exposed. And it was ugly. This wall here, Sue and Kaylee collapsed this, I guess, because it wasn't collapsed the last time I was up here. Just lots to do. All the time, something to do. But again, I still can't figure out why those ties are there. They make no sense to me at all. It just doesn't even make sense. That's one we just dug out with the Bobcat. Well, you've heard me refer to the dump a few times. And yes, we do dump some things like this, but we're going to burn that, and there will be almost nothing left of that when we're done burning. And same way with this. This is all slabs off the sawmill from, well, I say last year. It's probably a full year's worth of slabs, maybe a little bit more. And most of this came from the water wheel house. Anyway, we're going to saw all this up and burn it in the wood furnace this winter. And here's the railroad ties that I just got around the well house, a whole bucket full, and it's pretty heavy. That'll burn too. And yes, I know they're full of creosote. And yes, I know you're not supposed to burn them. And yes, I'm going to burn them. You can't tell anything different when you burn them. That stove doesn't give a rip. It just burns them, and there's no smoke or nothing like that that comes out. It just works. I've done it many times before, and I'll continue to do it. The point is, where else would you get rid of these things? Might as well get some heat out of them and get some benefit. Might as well. Yeah, they're just they're really not that soaked in creosote anyway. They just have a little bit on them basically, and that just seems to burn away no problem. And that much, I don't know, that many ties, that much of it there. That's not that much heat. It'll probably heat the house for a full day, maybe, if it's not real cold. It takes a lot of wood to heat that house. This house, I should say, this house. But anyway, it's is what it is, you know. And I'm not looking forward to spending every waking minute for the next 3 or 4 months cutting wood, but we're headed toward it. The one good bad thing, I mean, it's bad that they died, but there's 2 giant trees right here almost in the front yard that those will take me a long way because they're big trees. One of them's, I don't think either one of them's bigger than 3-foot diameter, but they're pretty close to 3-foot diameter, and they're oak, so they're just massive, you know. And so I'll be cutting those down before very long. That will make a lot of firewood. Again, it won't last all that long. It'll last, the 2 trees together will probably last a full month, I would think. It would last most people a full winter and possibly 2 winters. That's not the way it works here, though. And if you think I'm exaggerating, you're wrong. I'm not exaggerating. In fact, I might be underestimating. I might be optimistic saying it'll last a full month compared to a year or 2 for other people, or maybe even 3 or 4 if you don't burn a lot of wood. Let's see. Brian Byler was the first one in today from rainy Northeast Ohio. I wish it was rainy here. This morning I worked on that video, putting out the video on playing live at the Macedonia Baptist Church, and I released that at about 11 o'clock. Well, anyway, I basically just had to go through it. I didn't really change much of anything. I cut off the very front end because, it was, I had to turn the camera on, and then we got ready, got on stage and all that. So there was just a lot of junk there that wasn't worth watching, so I cut that off. And then we had one right at the very beginning on the first song. We had a false start. I don't know if it was me or if it was the band, but either way, we didn't get together on the very first song for just a few seconds there. So we had a false start and had to start that over. So I cut that little false start out. And then I cut off the very, very tail end because, again, it was just after we quit. It was just us rumbling around, getting off stage and all that. So I cut that off. So that was the only 3 cuts I made, just 3 little tiny cuts. All the rest of it was exactly as we did it. So anyway, if you're interested in watching that, that's out there now. It's live at the Macedonia Baptist Church in Rolla, Missouri. Let's see then. Ronald Todd, good afternoon from the West Banks of New Jersey. Joe Nigan, wishing everybody a pleasant afternoon. There's Dottie. Hope you're doing good, Dottie. Bill Rhodes says good afternoon. And Dottie's praying for us as per usual. Thank you, Dottie. Beatza says good afternoon, evening from Manchester, England. Cool. Jerry, will you be making a video of how you make and fit the axe hammer handles? Yes, I do have a video on that. That's another thing I got. I got a video. I got so many videos. It's unbelievable. I just can't get to them to put them all together. It takes longer to put the stinking videos together than it does to actually do the work, That's what the problem is. Yeah, I just wish we'd have a good rain day, where I can't really do anything outside, because whenever it's clean and clear, I'm just got so much to do. That's what I started to tell you this morning, was that while I was editing that video, it was really dark outside, and I thought, it's going to rain. It was dark the whole time, all morning till like 9:30 or so. And so I got done editing that video, and so I thought, all right, I'll go outside and start cleaning up around that well house. So the moment I came out, the sun comes out bright and shiny, makes it hot as it can be. I'm just sweating my tail off. So then I come back in early for getting ready for this and, eat lunch and stuff. And instantly it goes dark again. It's like, are you kidding me? So it's only shining hot and sunny while I'm out there having to slave in the heat. It is sunny out there now, though, again. So it's kind of, the sun's come back out. And I'm not complaining about the sun. That's nice, but we need some rain. We haven't had any rain since, to speak of, really. We had one decent shower a week or two ago. That's the best rain we've had, and that wasn't that much. It only wet the ground down about an inch, which is pretty good considering we haven't had anything since about July. God, that's crazy. It's been dry. I'm amazed the springs are still flowing. I'm amazed the water wheel's still turning. It's just been that dry. But anyway, to answer the question, yes, I do have video on that. Can I get it out to you? I hope so. I'm going to try. Gino Hitch, hi, Jerry and friends. Rainy days here in Monroe, Ohio. Rain? Well, you guys are just rubbing it in. And see, how are you doing with your weight loss? Well, it's stuck right around 200 pounds. I can't get down below it. I feel like I eat like a bird now, so I don't know what else to do. And it's not like I just sit in a chair. I'm doing something all the time. I'm not doing what you call exercise, but I get a lot of exercise for a guy my age, I think, especially. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's going to go below that. Dottie says, God bless America again. You got that right. Don Nice says, hi, Jerry and friends. A beautiful day here in eastern Pennsylvania. Cool. Don Nice, Jerry, just wanted to let you know how you and your band was so beautiful. Thank you. Well, thank you. The church in Rolla, he says. Yep. Yeah, that it went well. There wasn't a huge crowd. I think, I'm going to guess 45 people, something like that. Let's see. Moving on down, looking mainly for the question marks. BMW 65 says, good afternoon, Jerry and friends. And then Dottie says she loved the video of the church that y'all sang at the other night. Thank you. After we went live, Bill Mumbo says, hi, you folks. Lester Cunningham's there. Paul Akers, Ronald Todd. Lester Cunningham says, thanks for the music at the church. You're welcome. There's Kim Williford from beautiful Las Vegas. And I hope you're doing well too, Kim. And let's see. Uh-oh, it scrolled on me here. Now I've lost my place again. All right, let's see. Rick Casada says, someone broke into my apartment and stole everything, but they replaced it all with exact duplicates. When my roommate came home, I told him, and he said, excuse me, do I know you? That could happen to me. BMW 65 Stringworks says, we should be pulling in up there late in the evening, Sunday the 19th of October. Can't wait to see the water wheel housing. Well, that sounds cool. I never know anything about who's coming and when they're coming. Sue takes care of all that for the Airbnb stuff. I assume that's what you're talking about. And welcome. We'll see you when you get here. Something. Anyway, Ronald Todd says the piece you pulled out of the ground looks like a ground rod. Well, it's just a cable. It's just a woven cable that was. I think it had an end on it. I think they probably used back then. They were probably skidding logs with it or something like that. It's a great big heavy cable. That's what the skidders use around here is cables. They use that rather than chains. In fact, I found 2 or 3 of them laying out in the woods. That's what it looked like. I don't know what it was for sure, but I don't think it was a ground rod. Kim Williford, yes, Rick, yes, I get the... Okay, let's see. BMW65 says, does the Harmony guitar have a case with it? Think we are riding up the motorcycle. Oh, so is this Bill Webb? Yeah, okay, I guess it is Bill. There you go. Sorry. I don't know, for whatever reason, I just didn't recognize that name, but then now I should recognize it since it says Stringworks behind it. It makes sense now. Sorry about that. But anyway, it has a case. I'm not saying it's the best case. I think it's just kind of a barely get you by kind of case. I think that's the truth of it. I'd have to look at it again. I did see the Harmony guitar just the other day. I was showing some of the instruments to, well, those fellows that were here on the last play along on Thursday evening. All right, let's see. Ben Boyd says, have you ever thought about getting a chest mount or head mount for your camera? Yeah, I've got those. Might be handy for your outside work. Yeah, free up your hands. Yeah, I have them. It's just the logistics of all this stuff. Yeah, I do have them though. And if I was planning to do anything for any length of time, I would have put one of those on. But yeah, I'm jumping back and forth and doing something, then doing something else. But it would be handy to have it. Bill Mumbo says, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hugh O'Connor says, someone won't be cutting down trees for a while, possibly a week. What does that mean? Someone won't be cutting down trees for a while, possibly a week. Oh, you mean with all that wood piled up out there? Yeah, that stuff will go fast. Honestly, it really will. It's really dry and small pieces and stuff. I don't know. It might last that much that you saw there. If it was really, really cold, might last a week. Might last a week. I'm talking if it's really cold, meaning in the 20s and below. Now, if it's in the 30s, 40s, that might have lasted 10 days to 2 weeks, something like that. I'm not kidding about that. If you think I'm exaggerating, I'm not. I'm black and white on it. I'm telling you, that's what it takes. A ton of wood. I've told this several times before, but there was 2 years in a row. And it just happened to be 11. I don't know why we landed on 11, but I had 11 of those dump trucks that you've seen my old 57 Ford dump truck. I had 11 dump truck loads of wood piled out there in the back, 2 years in a row, and neither one of them made it to Christmas. 11 dump truck loads of wood, and neither one of them made it to Christmas. Yeah. People say, why don't you cut that ahead of time and get it all ready, you know? You'd have to be Superman. You really would. You would have to be Superman. Or hire a bunch of people, you know. There's no way you could cut enough for the whole winter all in one thing, you know, and get it ready. And besides that, I prefer to cut it when it's cold anyway because I don't sweat so much. It's not fun cutting wood out there right now, I can tell you that. It's like I just soon wait until it's really cold. And even when it's really cold, I often get down to just a T-shirt. And I'm talking when it's like in the upper 20s, you know, I'll be out there in a T-shirt cutting firewood because it makes you work so hard. You get so hot. It's like they say, it warms you twice. In my opinion, it warms you about 3 or 4 times because you got all that cutting and stuff. Then you got all the hauling, and then you got all the stacking and loading and all that stuff. So there's 2 or 3 times there it warms you up pretty good. Let's see. BH Ringer says, please hit the thumbs up button. Yes, please do that, guys. I appreciate it. Jesus saves, Dottie says there, and I saw that Lawrence had said that earlier, and yes, that's right. Let's see. BH Ringer, if you're being chased by a pack of taxidermists, do not play dead. Good idea. That's a real good idea. Let's see. The Puzzler says, Dottie, how are you? Okay, he's just talking to Dottie there. Okay, let's see. Rick Casada says, Jerry, I want to be like you. I wouldn't try very hard if I was you there, Rick. But you say it's hard being you. Should I just settle for being me? Well, I don't know how hard it is being you, but it ain't easy being me. I can tell you that. Especially when it comes to firewood season. I'm going to tell you right now, there's not a single, I don't mean to make it sound like I'm some superhuman effort, but I think it's more because I'm stupid, because I don't think there's a person out there anywhere that would cut as much firewood as I do. And I'm not exaggerating. I firmly believe this with all my heart. I mean, I can't prove it, but I believe 100% that I cut more firewood and burn more firewood for personal use than anybody on the planet. 100% believe that. Because you'd have to be nuts to do more than I'm doing. I mean, if you lived up in Alaska, generally they got some little hut or something, they got a wood stove. They don't burn 1/10 of the wood I burn. I see them up there. They like you see a video of a guy says, I've got all my wood ready, and they've got like maybe one great big room. Maybe the room is 20 by 20 and it's full of firewood. I burn that in a month. Believe what you want. I'm not kidding you when I tell you these things. I'm sure I burn more wood than anybody on the planet for personal use. Now, I'm not saying more than a firewood guy that's selling firewood. They're going to cut and split more firewood than I am. There's no doubt about that. But for personal use, not a chance. Not a chance. Not nice. Jerry, I think it's more than 45 people at the church, but how about all over the world? Yeah, well, there you go. That's pretty cool. Now, I don't know how many were at the church. I'm guessing around 45. There could have been more. There was a good number there, but it wasn't, it wasn't full. I would say it was about 1/3 full, maybe. Yeah, I'm not even sure it was that much. Probably more like 1/4 full, to be honest. Michael Thompson says, good afternoon. Hey, Jerry, do you have a Ovation guitar in the Widow's collection? There's one that's in there that I don't know that it's called an Ovation. I think it's an Applause. It looks just like an Ovation, but I think it's an Applause guitar. It sounds good. I mean, it's a decent guitar. So I think we have one of those. I think I've showed it before in one of those earlier videos, I think. There's Bill again saying, yep, we are staying all week in the small apartment. Cool. Okay, yeah, Bill, I knew that you were coming, but I was thinking for some reason you were coming even later than that. But then I remember Sue says, no, it is that Sunday we're getting home. Yeah. Okay, I'm back on this even ground now, Bill. Sorry. I just have too many irons in the fire. That's my problem. I can't keep it all straight anymore. There's just too much going on all the time. Ronald Todd, Michael Why? Okay, let's see. Let's see, Bill again. Yes, Bill Webb. Okay. Let's see. Hugh O'Connor. I guess you use so much wood because it's burning 24/7. Well, that's true, but it's this house. And people then instantly go to, well, I would insulate it and I would, put new windows and doors. Well, I've done all that. All that. The only way to fix it is to tear it down and build a decent house. I mean, this house was built in the 30s, and if you go by square footage and you figure the whole square footage, it's over 7,000 square feet of concrete that you're heating. And it's a concrete slab, and the slab goes all the way to the outside, and that it gets cold in the wintertime, and that cold comes in on the floor, And there's no way to put a thermal break. And people say, why don't you saw around it? And, it's just impossible. It'd be easier to build a house than it would be to do that. There's no way to fix it. I mean, there is zero way to fix it. That's practical. I mean, you can do anything. Don't get me wrong. I understand you can fix it, but it's not practical to fix it. So that's the difference. I mean, it's just impossible. And I thought, I thought I'd get smart, see, and then when I remodeled our master bathroom back there, which is really big, our master bathroom, honestly, I'm not kidding you, it's nearly, just the master bathroom was nearly as big as our first house. Not as big, but nearly as big as our first house. So I thought, it'll be a good test. I'll, when I redo that whole thing, I'll put that electric floor in. I forget what you call it now, but anyway, it's a wire thing, and you snake it all. It's kind of like the people that put the tubes in the ground and fill them with hot water. It's just like that, except this is all electric, and it's all through the floor. Then you put your tile over it. And we've got that back there. Did we use it? Not a chance. It changed our electric bill's high anyway. It's not real high compared to most people, I don't think, especially when you consider the size of the house and all that. But it's enough. It's hefty, and it about doubled the electric bill. And we weren't even turning it up real hot. It's wonderful. It makes the floor just feel wonderful, but you can't do it. It's not practical. Just not practical. So there you go. It's just not. Did you ever hear it's not easy being me? That's really the whole truth of it. Why didn't I tear the house down and build a new one when we first bought here? It's because this is a cool house, even though it's not a cool house by modern standards. It's a cool house by the old standards. It's really a pretty cool house. I mean, there's 4 fireplaces in this house, and it's just enormous. It's just enormous. This is one of the smaller rooms, and this is about 18 feet across here, and about, 12 feet. It might be 14 feet across here. I'm not really sure how big it is. But, this is one of the smaller rooms. It's a huge house. It really is. Why they built a house that big back here in the middle of nowhere with no good way to heat it. And as I've told you before, we also have as a backup, and it's really the actual way to heat the house, is we have 2 giant Lennox pulse furnaces. And at least when I checked on them back a long time ago, they were the 2 largest residential furnaces you can get. And when they kick on, you can be a half mile down the valley, and I'm not exaggerating about this either. You can be a half mile down the valley sitting in my deer stand, and I can tell exactly when they kick on because it goes boom. Because they have these mufflers that go out through the ceiling, out through the roof, and you can hear them from outside. You can't hear them in the house, really, but you can hear them from outside. They're huge, and you can almost look at your propane tank meter just going, and again, it's going to sound like an exaggeration, but I promise you, it's 100%. If you tried to heat this house with propane, you would use, it's a 1,000-gallon tank, and you would use that in a month. Now, you can only fill a 1,000-gallon tank up to 800 gallons because you can only fill them 80%. But you would use the 800 gallons in a month easily. Now, figure up that cost for you, and like I told you, when we bought this place, Bob was in over his head, trust me, because old Bob, he was a little bit on the lazy side. He wasn't burning wood to keep his house warm, like I do. And there's not a chance Bob would have cut this much wood, not a single chance ever. And he was in debt up to his eyeballs with the propane companies, and I call them oil companies because it was like MFA Oil or what is the main name of it or something. Anyway, there was 2 of them at our closing to get their money from Bob. So there you go. I mean, that just to give you an idea. I am not exaggerating when I tell you this is the hardest house in America to heat. And I think that includes Alaska. I mean, I really do. I believe what you want. But if you came here, and like I've told you also, it's also about the easiest house to to cool. When the air conditioner actually works, it's the easiest house to cool, and it doesn't cost much to cool it. It cools really easily. It's not even difficult. It's not expensive or anything, but it's really hard to heat. Super, super hard. Zappa says, it's amazing to me those plastic bowl Ovation guitars were so popular when they came out. Yeah, I'm not a fan of them, only because, not the sound. Their sound is fine to me. It's the holding them. I can't hold the darn things. They roll out of my lap. That's the reason I don't like them. That's the only reason. Well, that and working on them, trying to clamp them. You can't clamp them either. Let's see. Bill says, okay, as long as it will strap on the motorcycle and get it home. I think it will. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's something we can do to make it happen. If we have to, we can encase it in some cardboard or something. We'll make it work one way or the other. You know me. Zappa says it's amazing. Okay, yeah. And then Michael Thompson, let's see. He was talking to Ronald Todd. Then there's David Tharp. I'm at Lambert Airport waiting for a flight to Tampa. Got to tune in for a few minutes. So howdy. Well, howdy. And I heard that Lambert International Airport just got a direct flight to, I guess, Heathrow. I think it's to England, UK, I think. So they used to have direct flights to other countries from Lambert. When I was, it was a big airport. It's still a huge airport as far as that goes. It'd take you an hour to go from one end to the other. It's crazy big as far as spread out Lambert is. But they used to have all kinds of flights everywhere, and then it just went, St. Louis kind of went in the toilet, and I don't know. It's crazy. At one time, St. Louis, I think, when I was a kid, I think it was the fourth biggest city in the United States, I think, at one time. But that was a long time ago. It's not so much anymore. It's still a great big city, but it's not like it's not populated like most cities, because most people don't live in the downtown St. Louis city. They mostly live in the county, in the outskirts. But the airport is a big airport, and it's a shame it doesn't have more connections and flights than it does these days. David Tharp says, a friend said, I saw you walking your dogs yesterday. I said, they aren't my dogs, they're my sister's. He said, your sisters are ugly? Okay, see, that's the reading thing. I have to read it again. I'm not going to, but I'd have to read it again. It's the reading thing, I promise you. I just can't read where the darn. Well, it's not that I can't read. I can read the words. I just can't make them make sense up here. They don't make sense up here. I have to read it 2 or 3 times before it makes sense. That's why I don't read books. It just drives me nuts having to read it over and over and over and over. Let's see. Ronald Todd says, can't you shut down parts of the house? We do that. Yeah, we do that. We've got at least a third of it shut off. Can you imagine trying to heat the whole thing? Yeah. Everybody, and I'm not picking on you, Ronald, but everybody has all the ideas of how to fix this, but you can't fix it. Trust me. After 28 years here, if it could be fixed, don't you think I'd have fixed it? It ain't fixable. The only fix is you go cut firewood, and that's the only fix if you want to live here. Now, granted, I've always said that that's also what I think keeps me in good shape, because I'm doing all that work, and I think that it's the old use it or lose it thing, and I keep using it, and therefore I keep going. But if it gets to the point where I can't, well, we have that Airbnb up there, and it's a full-size house, and it's big enough for the two of us, and it's got electric heat, and it's not that expensive to heat it, and we'll move up there. So this is good until it isn't good. That's the way I look at it. Michael Thompson, let's see. No, he's not. I guess he's having a conversation. David Tharp says, must be that epoxy holding them together that makes the Ovation sound good, reckon? Well, I think you're setting me up because you know I hate epoxy. But anyway, I think they sound okay. I don't think they sound great. I don't think they're like the best sounding guitar. I think they sound okay. They sound fine. But it's not the sound that bothers me. It's the holding them and trying to clamp them that bothers me. And then, like just working on them in general. It's just hard to work on those things. Let's see. Wayne Blitz says, good afternoon, Jerry. Doesn't have any question marks, but he says, hope everyone is having a great day. Keep it safe. Thank you. David Thorpe's got his thumbs up there. Let's see. Ben Boyd, St. Louis was the fourth largest city in the U.S. from 1870 to 1920. Well, I remember hearing it was the fourth largest city when I was in grade school, but I don't know if it was still the fourth largest, but it was pretty big even then. Back in the late 50s, early 60s, St. Louis was a pretty big deal, but not so much anymore. And all the big businesses like Southwestern Bell and ATT, they moved down to the San Antonio headquarters. And so that really sucked the wind out of St. Louis when that happened, because that was a big deal, because we had our headquarters in St. Louis. Let's see. Old Hickory, it's true it could be fixed, then Jerry wouldn't figure it out. Yeah. It's true. If it could be fixed, Jerry would have figured it. Yeah, well, thank you. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't think of anything to do to make this house work better. I mean, it's the way it's laid out. I mean, we could make it better. I mean, there's a way to do it. But it would just be, again, not practical. Like if we decided we were just going to live in one little corner of the house or something, but the kitchen and the great room is gigantic. We'd have to move our beds in there, because that would be the only way to make it where you could just heat that one little section. It just wouldn't be practical. And then the water lines would freeze and everything else too and bust. So it just isn't practical. It's either we live here and just put up with it, or we move up to the Airbnb. And that's the only two options there are. And so while I still can, I'm going to. And that may not be many more years, but I think it'll still be this year. I hope. Ben Boyd says it was 8th in 1950. Okay. David Tharp, they were designed by aeronautical engineer, a helicopter guy. Forgot what that was about. Are you talking about the Ovations? Ovation guitars, that is. Oh, yeah, there you go. I was wondering what you were talking about. Flying VFR, David. Well, guys, I'm going to probably let that be it. St. Louis, no progressive thinking. Yeah, well, St. Louis, I don't know that that's when the downfall started, but it was pretty much run by the mob, the Lebanese mafia. And I've told you my Lebanese mafia stories before, but those are true stories too. My best friend, his name was Terry McDermott. Now that does not sound like a Lebanese mafia name, does it? It's just that his father was an Irishman, I guess. But his mother was full-blooded Lebanese and tied into the Lebanese mob, and so was Terry looked like a Lebanese guy. I mean, he really did. I mean, he had the real dark complexion, great big stout guy, you know. And I'm telling you, the whole city was run by the mob for a long time. And I'll try to just give you one short example. Terry, you know, I was having trouble. I had a rental property in the city of St. Louis proper, and it was like a rental, a two-family flat that I owned, and I was renting out. And they came and started dunning me with letters about, I don't remember what it was now, something about this had to be fixed and that had to be fixed. And at the time, I didn't have any money, and it was just stupid. It wasn't anything that, you know, it wasn't any big deal. It's just stupid. It was really what it was, and it was going to cost me a lot of money. So I didn't have any idea that Terry was tied into all this at that time. And I said to him, I just told him about it. You know how you have your lunchtime conversations with your friends, you know. He goes, hey, do you have that bill? Do you have that notice with you? And I said, no. He goes, well, bring it in tomorrow. And I said, oh, okay. I mean, I had no clue what he was getting up to. So I bring it in, I give it to him. He says, I got connections in the city hall. He says, I'll take care of this. He did. I never heard another word about it. And, you know, then he and I went into the city hall not too long after that, and everybody in the city hall knew him. And everybody had a Lebanese name in the city hall. It was different, let me tell you. That was back when they were doing all the car bombings in St. Louis. You can look it up if you want. I guess it was mostly in the late 70s, early 80s, the Leisures versus the Michaels, the car bombings. I mean, they were just left and right. It was bad. And it was all the mob, and it was all over city control, I think. It was a mess. Very, very big mess. Let's see. Looking down here, there's one. David Thorpe says, I gave one finger up the pilots of Southwest this commercial instrument and check right years ago. It's over my head. Guybro says, hey, Jerry, don't those ovations have aluminum necks? No, I don't think so. I don't remember ever seeing one with a metal neck. I don't think. I mean, I don't remember every detail about all these different instruments because there were so many over the years, but I don't remember being a metal neck. I'm pretty sure they were all just mahogany necks as far as I can remember. But then again, it's not easy being remembered. Guys, I'm going to let that be it. We will see you tomorrow with something else. Thanks for being here.